Shalom to everyone. Let's warm ourselves up a little bit. I'm just letting someone else in. Just thinking, as we were singing together, slavery, and Hasidim, all the black hatters, they don't wear ties. None of them wear ties. Why don't they wear ties? They don't wear ties because a tie strangles the connection between your mind and your heart. And why is this so important? There's a holiday called Pesach. And on Pesach, what do we eat? Matzah.
Matzah.
And then the Leila Seder, we have a matzah plate. And on that plate, how many matzahs do we have?
Three.
And one is called, the top one is called the Kohen, the middle is called the Levi, and the bottom one is called Yisrael. 3 types of Jews. And the Kohanim, when they, in the service in the Beit HaMikdash, everything was done in their thoughts. They would think about things, they had to make sure the thoughts in the right place. And the Levim, what was their job? They sang. That was their job. And the Jews, what did they do? They prayed. Which matzah do we break? The middle matzah. You know why you break the middle matzah? Because it represents the singing. When you're a slave? Not when someone takes away your freedom. That's not when you're a slave. But when you can't stop singing. When you stop singing. And every freedom movement, what did they sing? They said, go down, Moses, way down to Egypt land, tell, O Pharaoh. You see, someone can take away my freedom, but when I stop singing, that's when I become a slave. So what we do on the Seder night, we break the middle matzah. We break the middle matzah because we're saying that's what it means to be a slave, that the Levi, the ones that sing, and that's why the Hasidim, they don't wear ties because it strangles our vocal cords. Because they want to be free.
Why did they dress in black?
They dress in black because black is beautiful. Black is black. I want my baby back. I mean, they dress in black because basically that's what the noblemen in Poland, that's what they wore. They wore black. That's the reason why they wear black. All I can tell you is that, how do we know that God loves color? Well, 3 reasons. 1, because of all the flowers. 2, because of all the fish. But we also know that the colors, the high priest wore a coat of many colors. And we know that in the Beit HaMikdash, it was also, there were lots of colors. So it seems that God loves colors, and there's more colors than black and white. So here we go. So here we're reading from Paro has a plan, and his plan is to kill the Jewish boys. And now here we are in sentence 15. Vayomer Melech Mitzrayim, and the king of Egypt said, Lamiyaldot ha'ivriot. Now, does anyone have a translation of that? Stephen, how does that translate? Lamiyaldot ha'ivriot.
Give me 1 second. 1 second.
Okay, I'll give you a second.
Okay. It translates to the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shifra, and the other P-A-U-H.
Pua. It says here, so he spoke to the Mialdot Ivriot. Now, were these Egyptian midwives for the Jewish people, or were these Israeli midwives? We don't know for sure one way or the other. Both are grammatically correct. But as we're going to see in a moment, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know what matters is? And what matters is that in sentence 17, and Vitirena Mialdot Elohim, and these midwives, they saw God, or they were fearful of God, and they did not listen to the king. The law is you have to act a certain way, and they decide not to act that way. Okay, let's continue. So now, so now Paro says, okay, I'm done with them. We're going to kill all the Jews. Okay, fine. So now Moshe is born. Now look at this. Let us look at sentence, we're now in chapter 2, sentence 3. Moshe is already born. He's been hidden for 3 days, for three months. They couldn't hide him anymore. So his mother, Yocheved, she takes this tevat gomet, she takes a little basket, and she put the child in it, and she put it on the bank of the Nile. Okay, so now if you watch The Prince of Egypt or anything like that, it seems like the basket was floating in the Nile. That's not what happened. She puts it on the bank of the Nile, and she puts the daughter, the sister, Miriam, far away. Ladat Mayaselo, she wants to know what's going to happen. Okay, fine. So now look at sentence number 5. V'tered bat paro l'chotz al nahar. She goes down to take a bath. So you understand, where was the basket put? The basket was put in a place where it would be found by the daughter of Paro. Whether or not she would do anything about it, that's another thing. So now, and her maidservants or her narutea, they are walking by the Nile, and she sees this little basket inside the reeds, and she sends her maidservant to take it. She opens it up and she sees there's a boy, and the boy is crying, and she had compassion. And she said, this is a Jewish child. But Tomer Mialdei Rimzeh. Now let me ask you a question. How did she know this was a Jewish child? There's 2 ways. Either because he was circumcised, right?
That would be my guess.
That would make sense. Or maybe he was wearing some kind of Jewish garb or something. Okay. So now, okay, fine. So Baparo says, go, I'm sorry. And so now, Miriam, right, who's standing from afar, she approaches Baparo. How she had the audacity to talk to this royalty, I don't know. And she says, I'm going to go call a wet nurse from the mother, from the Israelites. And so clearly that was going to be the mother. And so Paro, the daughter of Paro, says, okay, you know what, go do that. So that's what happens. And now they make an arrangement in sentence number 9. And Paro says, okay. She says to Moshe's mother, take the child, nurse him, I'll pay you. And that's what happens. Now, in sentence number 10, when Moshe got older, but they brought him to Paro, and he became the daughter of Paro's son, and she called his name Moshe. Why? Because she took him out of the water. So now let me ask you a question. How long do you think Moshe was breastfed, and also, and then weaning him from breastfed? How long could it have been? A year, 2. I mean, maybe 3, but definitely not more than that. So let me ask you a question. During these first year or 2 or 3 of his life, they called him a name. He had some kind of name. Traditionally, according to the sources, his name was Tuvia. But okay, but he had a name. So now she says, no, from now on, your name is going to be Moshe. She gives him an Egyptian name. And she says, and why is your name Moshe? Because I took you out of the water. Now, let me ask you a question. We all know that she's doing something which is against the law. Not only is she doing something against the law, she's putting it smack in front of everyone's face. Every time someone saw Moshe, they knew that not only was he Jewish, but he is the product of an illegal act. Because it was illegal.
He was allowed to survive. He was allowed to survive.
Right?
Right.
Now listen to this. This is very important. Moshe's name is mentioned in the Torah 628 times. 628 times. You know what God could have done? At any point, he could have said, and from now on, your name will no longer be Moshe, which is an Egyptian name. From now on, your name will be whatever it's going to be. He changed Avram's name from Avram to Avraham, changed Sarai's name from Sarai to Sarah. He changed Yaakov's name from Yaakov to Israel. But here, the leader of the Jewish people is called by an Egyptian name. You know what's supposed to happen every time we say the name of Moshe? You know who we're supposed to think about? We're supposed to think about Rosa Parks. We're supposed to think about a woman who had compassion. And she said no. Did she save every Jew? Did she save 100 Jews, 1,000 Jews? No. She saved one Jew. One Jew. And her act is alive on our mouths and our lips every time we say Moshe. There once was a woman, a non-Jewish woman, that in the face of tyranny, she acted differently. And you know, is anyone surprised that the Egyptians enslaved the Jewish people? I'm not. Enslaving other people is just part of what humanity has been doing to everyone for all of humanity. Even till today, there's slavery. Why are we being told this story? We're being told the story that, you know what? Even though Paro said to the midwives, kill the children, they said no. That's worthwhile being mentioned. Even though she didn't save all of the Jews, but she had compassion in the face of cruelty. And as you all know, Martin Luther King Jr. said, I am more frightened by the silence of good people, right, than the actions of bad people. Because bad people are bad people. So we're being told this story because saying, when you see something that's wrong, you know what you have to do? You have to take action. And how can I prove it to you? Here, look at the story over here. If you look at sentence 11, it wasn't those days. Moshe grew up, and he went out to his brothers, and he saw they were suffering. and he saw an Egyptian person hitting a Jewish person. And he looked from side to side, he saw there was no one around, and he killed the Egyptian. So what did he do? He saved the Jewish one, right? Now let me ask you a question. Moshe is the son of the king. What would have made more sense? It would have made more sense for him to go home and to organize a coalition or to have a meeting. And instead of just saving one Jew, maybe he could have saved 100 Jews. Maybe he could have saved 1,000 Jews. And let's make it even sharper. Let me ask you a question. So he saved this Jew from being beaten at that moment. Maybe an hour later, he's beaten by someone else. So what are we being told here? Why is the story being told? Is because it's exactly the same story, that in the face of cruelty, you have to act. You have to say no. Just like Rosa Parks, she wasn't trying to start a movement. All she said is no. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, we're the children of Israel. We're the children of Israel. And you know, there's only one time in all of human history that people of dark skin color were taken from slavery and brought to freedom. When was that? When the Israeli planes flew into Ethiopia and took those people and brought them to freedom.
As well as the Jews now that are coming from India.
100%. 100%. And so every time you say the name Moshe, I'm asking you, remember that Moshe is supposed to remind us about the courage of a non-Jewish woman who, in the face of cruelty, when Jewish kids are being killed left, right, and center, she said no. She didn't save 1,000, but she did save one. And instead of God changing his name to a Jewish name, come on, give him a nice name, call him Yankel or something. No, he's always going to be known as an Egyptian name, always. So we should give each other the strength. We should give each other the strength that in the face of cruelty to say no, not to make a million calculations. And you know, sometimes we want to help people, we make all kinds of calculations. Sometimes you just need to act. No calculations. Okay. I'll just say it really sharp. You know, what's our relationship with evil? Compromise. 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 Do you think we can't stop traffic accidents? We can, but what? Compromise. Okay, we need to go fast. We need cars that are not safe. We need them to be cheap. You know what the vaccination about Corona teaches us? That when the world wants to, they can put together the smartest people with enough money and then come up with a solution. No compromise.
So true.
So, okay, sometimes we have to compromise with our wives, with our friends, with our kids. But regarding evil, you know what the chutzpah is? This is Jewish chutzpah, and we'll finish with this. On Purim, what do we say? We every time we hear the evil name Haman, we want to blot it out. The chutzpah is that we think we can actually do that. And that's why the Jewish people are here. not to compromise with evil, to say no more evil, no more evil, no more evil.
Na 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 na.
Shkaya